This is Rob Lawton once again bringing you a conversation with concert pianist Nurry from the Piano Shop in Bath. In this conversation with Nurry, we thought that we would explore an all-time popular favourite classical piece by Franz Liszt, his Hungarian Rhapsody Number 2, which he composed in 1847. When discussing any music by Franz Liszt, we are opening ourselves up into what many musicians consider to be the world's greatest ever composer and pianist. For this reason, Nurry will now limit the conversation to highlight how Liszt interpreted the well-known Hungarian folk theme and explored how various arrangements and techniques could develop into this fabulous classic. The whole rhapsody falls into two main sections, a slow and a faster section. In total, this is contained in about 21 pages of piano score. The Rhapsody is based on the development of three basic themes in the first slow part, followed by four themes in the faster second part. Let's now ask Nurry to demonstrate some aspects of the Rhapsody to us at the piano.
So Liszt's Hungarian Rhapsody Number 2, it's a really well-known piece. Probably one of his most well-known pieces, and certainly his most well-known Rhapsody. And, you know, the Rhapsody, I think, is a series of pieces and songs stringed together. And you can really hear that in this music. It's based on Hungarian folk songs, as Liszt was a Hungarian composer. And you can really hear his how he wanted to piece together a very simple folk song and really make it into this great work for the piano. That's fun and has all these different sort of characters and use of imagination on, ultimately a simple folk song.
Nurry, can you tell us about the basic folk themes that Liszt used for this composition?
It's not, in this piece, it's sort of based, it has fundamental themes, and then you get different sort of variations of the theme. So he uses a theme and he makes it, he does different things to make it sound very different, makes it major, minor, changes the key, but the theme is ultimately the same.
Could you demonstrate to us by playing the basic themes?
So for example, after the introduction, so that when the main theme comes in, we set up. Now here it comes. That's the main theme. And it extends, and then he adds literally the next bar, he makes it into octaves. And then it goes on one of these tangents. But that's, the main theme here. Then he changes it round to makes it major, puts it on the top hand from bass, when before it was quite low, now it's much more graceful. Adds two voices, whereas before you only added the chord there. So, and then in the second time he had made it octave, so more powerful, and this one much more sweeter. And slightly more tender on the higher voice. And then, for example, it comes again in the left hand. So after it comes back to the sort of introduction. And then silence, and then the bass. bass right at the bottom of the piano. Now chord. Now both voices. It goes on. But again, it comes in like right at the base of the piano there to create a different sound. And then as we go away from, as we like go towards the end of the first section, it comes back again on the right hand and the theme. Again, major, a little bit more expressive, slightly, again, two voices in the right hand. And then you keep having that until you die away into and then you can, if you want to play it to make it slightly more different, because it comes out so many times, you can maybe voice the bottom note rather than the top one. To make it a little bit more interesting. But yeah, it comes up 4 times as we're going down into the next section and towards the end of the first section.
Could you tell us a little about the left-hand rhythms used by Liszt?
So the left hand plays quite a part in this piece. I think it's harmonically, I mean, it provides 2 things, I think, harmony and rhythm. And harmonically it's quite simple, but the beginning, you know, it sets the scene straight after the introduction. And then rhythm, and then the right hand. It just has that rhythmic quality with the bass, and then it always has these harmony and rhythm.
Can you tell us a little about Liszt, the composer? Tell us more.
Mm-hmm. So, Franz Liszt is really interesting because in this piece, I mean, technically it's very like demanding from the players, as with a lot of Liszt's music, I think. But I mean, harmonically it's quite simple, but really, you can really hear the sort of the colours that Liszt wanted in this music. I feel like in this piece you really have to like play the piano as an instrument and really bring out certain colours, because Franz Liszt was, I really think, you know, some people think he's like the greatest pianist who's ever lived, based on his music that's incredibly hard, but also he was a performer, he was a concert pianist, and in the music, you can really, this piece is a certain reflection of that. It feels much more improvisory than rather than like sit down and, you know, work out everything with the mind. He really, there are parts when he plays at the bass of the piano, and then he wants all these colours from the top, and really demands a lot from the pianist and the performer to play this piece of music.
Can you tell us a little about how Liszt uses tonal effects and other ornamentations to embellish the piece?
So, so in terms of in the first section, there's times when he just uses like colours from the piano just to create this kind of sound effect. It's like. So all that is just a build up. It's literally one whole page of just like G major 7, just one chord where he's like, he's made it have like lots of character. Again, just from the beginning, he adds these kind of flashes of colour there. Left and it's quite simple. And then as you trill to the top, so it adds like 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then again, it's very forward thinking of him, I think. But I think because he really knew the instrument, it's almost like Debussy-esque or Ravel, with all these colours and this kind of 3D layered texture. Again, he has his top melody in the middle within just one hand, and then the bass. You have the bass, and then you have. So then all of this kind of makes this kind of creates this atmosphere that's much more simple than just playing a build-up of building the tension just through one note. He's created all these layers, which is very interesting.
Well, we have now addressed the first slower part. Let's move on.
So then we go on to the second part, the slightly faster part. And again, we start it off with, again, this whole colours, it's like, we don't know where we're going. There's little flashes of colour, and then left hand. There's this kind of like flashes of colour and things from the piano. And then a bit more rhythm, da-dum, bum, bum, there. And it builds up, and then it goes, it's much more sort of fun and entertaining in the second half, so it's just very light-hearted. It gets it's like the one thing very sort of entertaining, and then he takes the same thing but changes the left hand. Same thing, same chord, it's just 2 chords. But he makes it very he uses different techniques, piano techniques, to create a different sound and b just a different way of playing the same thing basically. Makes it harder, but so he does that. Same thing, and then it goes same thing, but he makes it just becomes very much more light-hearted, and then he uses the left hand, like syncopation, grace notes, and all these sort of different techniques, and then it's just humorous. It feels very like improvisory. It's very like a showpiece at the end. So it's up, down, and then it down. So it's very free. It's like an improvisation, and then builds up. Here, we expect the chord of like one chord to make sense, so or something, but instead it's like he puts a wrong note there, so it's like he adds the A sharp, and he puts sforzando, so he's accent, make it louder to make it seem like you've made a mistake, and then so he's adding a bit of a joke there almost, and then and he puts in octaves in the left hand, where again it's just a bit of a joke, so he puts offbeat, always on the syncopation or something. He's using a lot of sort of creative ways in playing the same theme, And then he just goes, it just develops and develops and just goes faster, and these other different ideas builds up to the end. And then by the time you get to the ending, it just goes, it's just like, and then it's like just like glissando, just like a scale of like fun. So he just like jokes, like don't just plays the ending, and then all this big build up towards the end. When he finally finishes, very grand, and just finishes like that, and just cuts off the piece, which makes a very interesting whole structure of the piece, because at the beginning it sounds very serious, very sort of grounded in the very serious, and then the ending is like, it's just pure entertainment and a showpiece, and it ends very sort of lightheartedly, and then it's just fun at the end. So
we can imagine Liszt entertaining an audience with this piece, starting in quite a sombre and serious manner, but finishing with a flourish of pianistic acrobatics, where he can showcase his extraordinary skills. Clearly, he wants to demonstrate how far he can take a theme by dazzling his audience. We're going to end this video by first of all thanking you once again for giving us your insights into this wonderful piece, and sign off with you playing the whole Rhapsody during a concert that was recorded in 2018 in Lucca, Italy. However, before hearing it, can you tell us something about that particular concert?
Yeah, so this was played in Italy quite a while back, I think in the summer of 2018, and it was part of a music festival, it was in Lucca, and it's part of a music festival where it's an international festival where pianists came from America, Europe, the UK, and it had all the professors and their students there. So my teacher was there, so I came, and it was kind of like a competition, but also just a music festival. So the whole competition was based, was a dedication to Chopin and Liszt. So every pianist had to play a Chopin piece and a Liszt piece, and this was my Liszt piece.